Thank you.
Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. Well written, very well delivered presentation, so thank you for your comments. I will evaluate your proposal thoroughly. As the chairman indicated, we have a lot of work to do to make sure that implementation of Common Core is successful in California. As one of you suggested, there's a lot of misinformation surrounding Common Core as well, what it is, what it isn't, what school districts can do, what they can't do, and so I think your proposal would also help shed light on some of that misinformation and give parents and teachers and students and community members, employers even alike, better information on what we're trying to achieve. At the same time, any time that we are implementing a brand new program in education or anything for that matter, there are kinks that need to be worked out. And the best way to identify what those kinks are is to have a thorough and robust stakeholder process, as you're suggesting. And I think it's an excellent proposal as a way to identify what those kinks are, because one of the advantages of Common Core is there's a lot of flexibility, much more flexibility than perhaps teachers have had in the classroom in the past. And so if we're identifying the kinks, working them out, then teachers can be empowered to maybe modify instruction, or school districts can be empowered to give their teachers different tools that they may need to improve instruction. So one suggestion I wanted to make as we continue to evaluate your proposal at the state level is to also visit your local school boards, because in the era of LCFF, under the governor's administration, school boards have been empowered to do a lot. And as I suggested with Common Core, there's a lot of flexibility. There can be differences in one district to another. And so I encourage you to share your same proposal with each of your independent school boards and ask them to develop a robust stakeholder process that includes students as they're evaluating the effectiveness of Common Core in their own schools. So thank you for your presentation, and look forward to working with you on this specific proposal in the coming months.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very well done. We'll have our next panel, panel number 3. The topic is student mental health and social services. If the panel could come forward. Thank you, and you may proceed.
Good afternoon. My name is Jalacia Sills. I attend Oakland School for the Arts in Oakland, California, District 18.
My name is Shannon Yang. I attend Gunn High School in Palo Alto, District 24.
My name is Janelle Barraza, and I attend Credo High School, District 4.
And my name is Jessica Matley, and I also attend Credo High School.
Good afternoon, Assembly Education Committee. We are honored to be here in front of you today. Over the past 2 days, I was able to thoroughly discuss the pressing issue of the lack of mental health support for students in the California educational system. For currently out of 50 states, California has the highest ratio of number of students per counselor. Additionally, teachers feel ill-equipped to serve as a support network to connect students to their school environments. There is a severe disconnect between students' needs and resources available to students, a situation that must be addressed.
Now I am going to talk about why the implementation of this proposal is so important to me. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder when I was 12 years old. This has made school very overwhelming for me. I have gotten mandated accommodations through my school district, yet some of my teachers had refused to comply and viewed my issues as overreaction, laziness, and defiance. This is a case of teachers not being educated on the effects and symptoms of mental illness, hence making them unable to provide for students.
Jessica's narrative is one of many that blatantly displays a lack of teachers' understanding of how to support students. Having inadequate teacher support, students in California do not have access to support on another front. School counselors. The fact is that student-to-counselor ratios are too high, and I reiterate, out of all 50 states in the nation, California is ranked 50th in student-to-counselor ratios at 814 students per one counselor. It has been proven that high student-to-counselor ratio is directly correlated with higher suicide rates, dropout rates, and bullying when analyzing various districts with different student-to-counselor ratios. The Ad Health Project, a national study on adolescent health, recently brought new evidence to the discussion of students' connection to their school environments. AdHealth found that both younger and older students who feel connected to their school have better mental health and are less likely to engage in risky behaviors. The recommended student-to-counselor ratio is 250 students per counselor, yet the state average is roughly 814 students to one counselor. In addition, in Alameda and Napa counties, the average school have over a 1,000 to 1 ratio. There are consequences to California's high student-to-counselor ratio. The average rate for high school students in California who have seriously contemplated or committed suicide is 17%, which is much higher than the national average, which is under 10%. Suicide and depression is a major concern for many schools and for students in my generation.
So this is what we need from the Assembly Education Committee. 1. A mandated student-to-counselor ratio at a maximum of 750 students per counselor. And 2, mandatory teacher training on mental health services. First off, we want to mandate a student-to-counselor ratio because there is already a mandated student-to-teacher ratio, and mental health should be just as important. Students should be able to receive the individualized attention that they deserve. That is why we would like to mandate a student-to-counselor ratio within the range of the already recommended ratio, under 750 students per counselor. Secondly, we would like to recommend a minimum of 2 hours of mental health professional development per year for teachers, allowing teachers to learn the symptoms of distress and how to connect students to help. Research published in the Psychology Quarterly shows that teachers feel that the inability to help with students' mental health issues is the largest barrier in the classroom. 65% of teachers did not agree that they have the skills required to meet the mental health needs of the children that they work with. However, teachers do want to help. According to Gallup Education, recognizing and understanding mental health issues in children was in the top 2 areas that teachers felt like needed additional knowledge or skills training. Teachers need to be equipped with these tools. Since staff are already required to have professional development days, this will be low cost because the only expense is paying for the mental health professionals who train the teachers. This is an investment in the wellness of our students. Mental health services need to be addressed, and all we ask from the Assembly Ed Committee is that you hear our requests.
I as well have been affected by my school's lack of awareness of mental health. During my freshman year of high school, my 7-year-old baby sister was diagnosed with T-cell lymphoma cancer. As a result, I became very depressed. I continued to go to school confused and distracted, for I can only give my attention to my baby sister. My teachers continued to fail to accommodate to my needs, so I felt increasingly isolated and depressed. This could have been prevented if my teachers had the proper skills to address my issue, as well as access to an available counselor on campus. With this proposal of mandating teachers' professional development pertaining to mental health services, there can be a decrease in high school dropouts, suicide, depression, as well as bullying. If students with personal narratives like mine had access to necessary support, then and only then we could properly support students in the California education system. Thank you for your consideration and your time.
We now open the floor up to questions.
Thank you. You bring again a very relevant topic, something that's a concern of mine as a classroom teacher in the largest high school in California. Not enough counselors. You want a counselor ratio of 1 to 700, one counselor to every 750 teachers. Even that would probably be one of the highest ratios in the nation. But that would actually add a lot of counselors in California. So I appreciate that fact. But your focus on mental health in particular. I had a bill last year that did a lot of what you called for. I don't want teachers to diagnose or treat mental illness, but when we recognize it, what do we do? And what does a school site do? So my bill last year, what it would have done was establish protocols, kind of rules, if you will, policies for schools to deal with mental health issues. It made it all the way through the system. We had lots of testimony, lots of input. I think it was a pretty strong bill. Got on the governor's desk and he vetoed it. So we're going to be taking a look at that again, and maybe we can even add in some of the information you brought today. But do not for a minute think that I don't understand how important this issue is. It's a very relevant topic again, and I thank you for bringing it to us. And this is about our kids, our state, our future, our economy. So again, I thank you.
I echo the comments made by the chairman. This is a growing issue facing California, not only in our school system, but in society at large. And if we can address it within our school system, I believe the problem at large will also start to diminish. So your proposal is sound. I like the fact that you coupled the two ideas together. Because one, it's difficult to advance one without the other. On the ratio in particular, I worked a lot on that during my first term in the legislature, and what we kept hitting against was the funding source. And we tried to get creative on different funding sources, and we were working with Republicans and Democrats alike to try to achieve that. But it's a difficult climb. But as budget numbers continue to improve, we will try to continue to keep up the awareness of the need to improve the numbers of mental health professionals serving directly in school sites. Because in many instances now, as I'm sure you're aware, there's one counselor for an entire district in some areas of the state, and they just simply cannot meet the need. The second idea you had, and the reason I like that you've coupled it with the first, is we ran a bill on that a couple of years ago. And interestingly enough, and I understand it, but it also doesn't help the issue, we weren't able to achieve passage of the bill. The mental health community actually opposed training teachers to help identify mental illness so that they could provide the proper referrals, because they were concerned that that would detract from their ability to have more mental health professionals hired by school districts if teachers were sort of taking over their scope of practice. So it's an issue that we need to work with teachers and mental health professionals alike and empower teachers and equip them to be able to identify needs of students and refer them to the proper resources, but also at the same time acknowledge that we need to be bringing more mental health professionals into the schools. So keep up your activism on this issue. It's important. It's not an issue that's going away. It's an issue that's growing. And I appreciate you bringing attention to the need today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very well done again. With that, we'll bring our next panel, panel number 4, forward. The next topic is the student voice. The student voice. Thank you, and you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Assembly members. My name is Anthony Chen, and I am a junior at South Pasadena High School in the South Pasadena Unified School District.
My name is Elias Nepa, and I'm a senior at Aptos High School in the Pajaro Valley Unified School District.
My name is Isaac Rubakava, and I am a senior at Henry J. Kaiser High School in the Fontana Unified School District.
Today, you are Assembly members sitting on a committee that has one of the strongest voices in California's education system. But think back to your high school experiences. I am sure that you remember a time when you wanted to change or improve something in your schools, but felt too discouraged or powerless to pursue this thought. Students do not feel that they have a voice, and thus, the Student Advisory Board on Legislation in Education has identified that a prevalent issue in California's education system is that student voice lacks efficacy. There are 4 levels of boardship for a student board member: reporter, member, preferential voting member, and motioning member. The preferential voting member casts a preferential vote on all items not concerning employee-employer relations. This 3rd tier of boardship is the main focus of our proposal. To combat this issue, the Student Advisory Board on Legislation in Education proposes that Ed Code 35012, which you can reference on page 8, be amended so that all current presiding and future student board members are given a preferential voting right. To clarify, a preferential voting right means that student board members, during a formal vote, are given an advisory vote. This vote is not tallied in the final vote count, but it is important in order to show the school board and the public where students stand on issues. Although we recognize that districts have the right to determine their ultimate channel for student voice, we must ensure that student voice is still heard. Students are the main stakeholders in the education system, yet they have the least voice out of any of these stakeholders. Students experience firsthand the policies set by policymakers, so it is essential that students have a voice that has weight and power behind it.
For over 12 years, students at Sable have brought up the issue of preferential voting in varying degrees, proving that it is an issue that students constantly find relevant. Additionally, Senate Bill 532, mentioned by our state president, gives students the ability to petition and create a student board member position. If students give their voice and support behind the position of the student board member, it is imperative that the student board member they establish is not merely a figurehead, but a champion of student voice. The student board members must be able to effectively convey to the local boards and to the public where students stand on issues. As we mentioned, during Sable this year, we decided the most critical issue is the efficacy of the student board member. There are currently districts in California where student board members do not have a vote at all. In the Monterey Peninsula Unified School District, the 4 student board members that represent their large district all lack preferential voting rights. This means these student board members are unable to adequately convey their opinions and are given a title with no tangible ability. This is incontrovertible proof supporting the fact that students across the state lack this right central to their duty. Without preferential voting, it is nearly impossible for the student board member to indicate how students are feeling on decisions that affect them, which is the primary function of the student board member. We see that the lack of these votes debilitate the student board member and limit efficacy when it comes to representing students. In the Pajaro Valley Unified School District, I serve as a student board member and I lack a preferential vote. I cannot vote on issues concerning fellow students and express their own perspective. There's a student board member from our delegation that does have a preferential vote and shared that it gives him, quote, a direct way to have his voice heard on all the issues. He shared this insight with our group. Even if I feel somewhat uncomfortable to speak on an issue, I'm able to get the student opinion across through my vote. This once again shows the amplified role of the student board member when given a preferential vote. The lack of preferential voting power is detrimental to the student board member's ability to accurately represent the student body, and removing the option for a non-voting member is our most imminent solution.
Securing preferential voting rights for district student board members is an action that works to serve the will of the students. During times of important decision-making, preferential votes give the student board members the ability to take a definitive stance on the issue at hand. Los Angeles Unified School District, the largest district in the state of California, recently established their own student board member with preferential voting rights. The largest district in the state finds that to give their student board member preferential voting rights to be a top priority. This serves as an indication of how influential and important this voting right is. This action by the state's largest school district should be a call to action for the state as a whole to adapt this right for the students who directly represent the voices of many other students. We must remember that students are the primary stakeholders in the education system of the state of California.
We see that student opinion is not accurately conveyed due to the lack of preferential voting rights. Our solution is to amend Ed Code 35012 to grant all student board members preferential voting rights. Furthermore, it is important to state that these actions will incur no cost. Thank you for the time, and we open the floor to questions.
Thank you. There's nothing more American than wanting democracy, and that's what you're asking for today, right? So thank you. You've obviously listened in your 4th, 5th, 8th, 12th grade classes where government was taught. So again, thank you. Again, the student voice is very important. I want to highlight that and just acknowledge that, and whatever any local school board can do to further include the student voice, I certainly appreciate. And I appreciate your presentation today. Again, very well done. Very well done. You should be proud of yourselves. And Madam Vice Chair, did you wish to comment?
I'll just echo the same comments already made.
Great.
Well
Thank
done.
you. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next topic is the role of technology. It's the iPhone in the classroom, I assume, huh? Actually, I believe it does have a role in the classroom, but either way, we don't need to. I'll listen today, not talk.
Good afternoon, California State Assembly Committee on Education. My name is Catherine Yang, and I'm from San Marino High School in San Marino, California.
My name is McGregor Thomas, and I'm from Woodcrest Christian High School in Riverside.
And I am Parker Harrell from Central Valley High School in Shasta Lake, California.
Technology is inevitable. It is the mode of our communication and prevalent in our workforce. If students are not technically literate upon leaving high school, they will not be able to obtain these jobs that require these skills. California risks sending ill-prepared and vulnerable students into a rapidly changing world of technological advancement. Our proposal is part of the first step to making sure that schools are accountable for using technology for the success of our students.
On behalf of the Student Advisory Board on Legislation and Education, part of the California Association of Student Councils, we would like to address the state's methods of implementing technology curriculum, specifically through the amendment of Education Code 60605.4. This education code has mandated the Instructional Quality Commission to create a computer science curriculum for K-12 by or before July of 2019. We recommend that these computer science standards must be adopted by all school districts by 2021, 2 years after the deadline of the development of the curriculum. You can find our proposed change in Ed Code on the last page of our proposal. The mandation of computer science content standards will push for technical literacy for all students. Fiscal obstacles will not be a hindering factor that excuses schools from being accountable for preparing their students. The California Department of Education has and will continue to fund the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium, which requires computer access. Therefore, schools will already be equipped with the technology necessary to meet the computer science content standards by 2021. Computer science curriculum will be the key to preparing students for the test, for they will start becoming technologically literate as they learn computer skills at a young age. We do realize the obstacles of mandating any amendment on a statewide scale, so we are suggesting that only the standards themselves are mandatory, but the way they are implemented is to the discretion of the local school districts. If every school follows the same standards, the end goal is the same and will benefit all students in the state.
The absence of this requirement widens the gap from where we are now and where we could be with the great potential technology holds. Personally, I've seen low-income schools in my area. For example, Alcott Elementary School in Riverside only had one computer cart for the entire 6th grade, giving each student an allotted 30 to 40 minutes per week to use the technology available to them. Furthermore, a study by the Stanford Center of Opportunity Policy and Education found that when given access to appropriate technology used in thoughtful ways, all students, regardless of their respective backgrounds, can make substantial gains in learning and technology readiness. Additionally, the study states that because of their students' lack of access, teachers in high-poverty schools were more than twice likely, 56% versus 21%, to say that their students' lack of access to technology was a challenge in their classrooms. Knowing this, requiring an update in computer science curriculum could benefit students that are struggling as schools continually update themselves in preparation for the SBAC tests.
As a student from San Marino High School, I can attest to the importance of technology in my education. In my AP Government class, we utilized technology to enhance the curriculum using live polls, videos, and collaborative note-taking to bring the material we learned to life. In the class, we take online quizzes that bring immediate feedback for students and teachers. Not being prepared to use technology puts students at a disadvantage. This is why it is crucial that we mandate this curriculum to expose students to these tools. Without this exposure, students will not be able to be prepared to utilize technology that not only enhances their learning now, but will prepare them for their jobs in their future. Furthermore, as cabinet member of the San Marino Girls Who Code Club, I am thankful for the inclusive community for coding that this organization has fostered. So often, girls and women are brought down by stigmas that communicate the message that these careers in technology are male-dominated, and they should stay that way. When I visited a middle school to try to encourage girls to explore coding, I heard this shocking but telling statement. I don't want to learn how to code. Coding's for boys. By amending the Ed Code to mandate these K-12 computer science content standards to all schools, we will be able to take the vital step towards breaking down these stereotypes at an early age that inhibit our most brilliant kids from pursuing a career in technology.
As a student from Central Valley High School, I can also attest to the importance of technology in my education and how LCFF funding can help with targeting the digital divide. Using LCAP funds, our district has given every student at my high school a personal iPad for school use. This has allowed the students that did not originally have this access to technology at home the ability to complete schoolwork. Personally, I have had my classrooms become more efficient every day because of our instant access to the internet inside the classroom without having to go to the library or computer lab to use a device. By establishing this new computer science curriculum, all districts can target their different diversity fronts and help their students achieve their highest potential.
If we do not address this concern, we risk wasting a powerful key to the success of the future leaders of California. It is vital that we are exacting in the implementation of computer science content standards through the amendment of Education Code 60605.4. As our digital world advances, so must the way our students are educated. It is a pity that California, home of Silicon Valley and many other technological discoveries, is ranked 47th in STEM education and 43rd overall. With this amendment, we will be able to break these barriers and lead the forefront of education as we do in technology. Thank you. Now open the board to questions.
Great, thank you. And I applaud your call for the integration of technology and learning. You know, I always say, blow up the book room, but keep the library. Right? Why do I say that? Because I think every book should be on a student handheld device, Chromebook, iPad, something of that sort. Those are the popular ones. I know there's others out there as well. But I believe every student in California should have that. I think it's essential to their education, their learning, but also to something you've alluded to, and that is the future of the California economy, which is creative. And how are we creative? Well, we're creative through technology. It's really another form of art when a student can put together a media presentation or some graphic arts projects or even a mini movie on a topic to kind of, if you will, re-show what they've learned and display what they've learned. So to me, this is essential to education. It's essential to the future of the California economy. So listen, I very much share your desire that California gets there. And how we do that, I don't know. I've spent a lot of time thinking on it because it takes money. And in my mind, actually not that much money, because I always said, what I said, blow up the book room, right? What does that mean? Well, I mean, those books should be on the computer, and that would save a school site, a district, the logistics, the dollars associated with handling those books, managing those books. How many students lose a book every year? They got to charge it. They've got to recoup the money. Well, someone in the district office has to do that, has to account for them. So a lot of accounting and a lot of moving and checking out with books. It just takes a lot of time. The smart place to be is to have every student have a common handheld device wherein they could certainly access content, but also be creative in different programs through the computer. So just understand that I get it. I share your desire, and continue to study this issue. The biggest hurdle I find is getting us there mentally, because not everybody's where I am. Some people think, oh no, the classic, walk into a classroom, pull out a book works. It works, but I think it works better through a computer device. And it's quicker too. And students don't have to bring books to school, right? That's how, when you have 6, 7 classes, you have 0 period, whatever you have, you can end up carrying a lot of books around. Not every school is, they don't have lockers, etc. So again, I'm with you. And what I'm trying to do is to design a path to get where we all want to go. So again, your presentation was great. You guys did a great job, and I share your passion. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We are now going to move to panel number 6. If I'm correct. I am correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there's one panelist,
Just
it appears.
one panelist,
okay.
yeah.
You must be passionate about this. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I think we can all agree that students are one of, if not the largest stakeholders in the California education system. As we move into this era of local control and accountability, we must focus on the importance and significance of the student voice. As of right now, districts are required to include student voice in their LCAP process, but the process is very vague. The LCAP establishes student engagement as one of its 8 priorities. However, the LCAP still remains as an unfamiliar concept to the majority of students in California, almost 3 years after the implementation of LCFF. Students are ultimately the ones who experience the effect of budget decisions, whether it be having ample resources in the classroom or having a variety of opportunities available at school. We recommend that the legislature mandate that governing boards create a system to solicit student input and receive student approval in the initial stages of the creation of the LCAP. Although districts may attempt to incorporate student voice and opinion, our voices are often not taken into consideration. We are given the final product without fully understanding the importance and effect of the plan on us as students. We strongly believe that student input in the creation of the process of the LCAP will accurately reflect the needs of students. Parent advisory committees in districts, as stated in Education Code 52063, already exist to serve as conduits of parent input. So student engagement should play an equal role in the formulation of the LCAP. The delegates at SABE 2013, the Student Advisory Board on Education, where we present to the State Board of Education, identified direct student input in the LCAP process as a top priority, stating that we, as students, are the primary recipients of the resources brought about by funds given to each district, and therefore we should have specific, impactful ways to voice our opinion at a local level. Nearly 3 years post-LCFF implementation, the brevity of student engagement in the process has not changed much, if at all. We recognize that each district is unique, so our proposal gives districts the ability to choose how they would like to solicit student input. Student engagement in the early stages of the LCAP development would allow the decision makers to cater specifically to student needs. With power shifting more towards local school districts, it is absolutely vital that students play a larger role in the decision-making process. Allowing students to voice their concerns and opinions early in the LCAP process would ensure that all stakeholders are being accounted for, thus strengthening the districts to best serve their communities. I urge you to act on this matter. Thank you for your time and consideration. I now open the floor to questions and comments.
Great, thank you. Really, I think what I've heard here today is students calling for a louder voice. Again, democracy, right? And I certainly appreciate that and encourage you to continue that call. But I would also remind you that you do have a voice now. You all have local school boards. They have school board meetings probably at least twice a month where you can go. Some of you have probably already gone as part of your government class or something like that. And there is a time period during that meeting when they take public comment. But also you can email, you can write, you can call, you can visit with your school board members. So certainly we have work to do on the state level, but I just don't want you to forget that you have a local level too that you should become familiar with and you should reach out to with these ideas and more as you come across them in the future. So I just want to say that the presentations here today have been beyond professional. You guys did a great job. Your research was top-notch. Your presentation was beyond top-notch. Why don't we give all our presenters a hand, if we could do that. And how about all our researchers and everybody who showed up and supported and was part of this process as well. Give all yourselves a hand. And again, one day I expect you to come up here, some of you. Okay, if you so desire to come up here and you can be an assembly member, it's not that magical, it's not that hard, and sometimes it's not that great either. But days like today are, because you guys did a great job and you give me faith in California's future. So thank you for your presentations here today, your effort, your thoughts, and let's move forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you and have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Are you have one more presentation? Yeah.
Just a quick close. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't aware, but go ahead.
Sorry,
Yes,
sorry.
I apologize for giving my closing remarks before the last man spoke.
Yeah. I'd just like to thank you all again for your time. I hope that you found these proposals both engaging and insightful. Moving forward, there's a lot to think about regarding our proposals, but without funding, conferences like these can never happen again. So we truly need your support to continue meaningfully and accurately representing the students of our state. The time is now, and we have the opportunity to really make a difference, so please help us do so. Thank you again, and I hope you really enjoyed these presentations.
Great, thank you. And rule number 1, don't come to the Capitol without asking for money, right? That's a good one. So what you can do, okay, is you have your own assembly members out there. You should reach out to them. But what you can do to contact my office, this is Rick Pratt, and he's probably one of the, if not the foremost educated individual in California on education, okay, because he spent years and years, many years, working on education policy inside and outside this building. So he's the chief consultant to the Education Committee. I'm chair of the Education Committee. I'm the elected guy. And what he does is he works for the Education Committee and kind of runs it and analyzes all the bills and forwards bills, or sometimes even helps stop them if they're not a good idea. Because often they're not. But yours is a good idea. So why don't you reach out to Rick Pratt, and maybe even after he could hand you his card, or if you have a card, you can hand it to him, and communicate with him on that issue, and we'll see what we can do. Okay?
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, and thanks to everyone who was here today. Thank you.
Thank you.